Thank you again, Francine, for that introduction. Hello, everyone, and happy Tuesday. I hope you're all doing well. As mentioned, my name is Adam Holton. I am one of the channel managers on the JET team at Insight Software. Optimus is one of our industry partners. And really, we're here today because our goal is to help make Optimus help you get the most out of your financial and operational data. So just a little bit about me before we get started here. I've worked in the BI reporting space for a little over 2 years now, with most of the last year at Insight Software, and I've worked specifically in the finance space for about 6 years. So today we'll be talking about our Microsoft Dynamics offering. I'll give you a feel for what the latest features and functionalities are of JET reports, give you an idea of some new ways to publish, distribute, and consume reports, and then briefly introduce JET Analytics, providing a very high-level overview of how JET Analytics can further optimize your data for reporting and help you gain valuable, actionable business insights. So before we do that, I want to give you a brief introduction to my organization so that you can understand what our mission is and why we're really here today. At Insight Software, our solutions are purpose-built to help CFOs make sense of their data. Our goal is to tackle that really complicated task of getting data out of your ERP and into the tool that accountants love, which is Excel. And we do that so you can improve data transparency and make more informed business decisions. As a whole, we have a global presence, over 400,000 daily users, and our solutions are compatible with over 140 different ERPs. Now, you may be asking yourself why we're talking about all of this just to meet your reporting needs. It's because the role of finance leader has evolved. There's more responsibility being put on finance teams. A lot of these teams are stuck using old solutions, manual processes, and static spreadsheets. Based on a 2020 FSN survey, 70% of financial leaders are unhappy with their current process. And that's where Insight Software comes in. And that's where JET specifically has helped all of you go from those antiquated, labor-intensive reporting or no process at all to empowering you to create reports yourselves directly inside of Excel. You may already be familiar with JET, but just to recap, JET is the most widely used Excel add-in for Microsoft Dynamics users. The JET suite of products has lived in the Dynamics space for the last 20 years, and JET is really the go-to application for Dynamics users to get more out of their data and make better data-driven decisions. So what does this offering consist of? Well, we touched a little bit on JET reports. That's our real-time reporting tool that lives directly inside of Excel and connects to your Microsoft Dynamics ERP. It lets you quickly and easily build reports directly in Excel and refresh those reports to pull in the latest data. Again, today I'll show you some of the latest functionality and how you may be able to get more out of JET reports. You may have heard of JET Analytics. It's our full business intelligence solution that comes in the form of a pre-built data warehouse and cubes. The real power of this tool is realized when creating consolidated reports, building in complex calculations to get business insights, and overall ease of use, as well as a pre-built data model that's optimized for reporting in a data visualization tool. We've also got BizView planning. We won't talk about it today, but I want to highlight it by saying that BizView is our robust, consolidated budget and planning tool that enhances workflow, provides comprehensive scenario planning, allows you to easily reforecast, and lets you build business insights into your process. Now, if that made any of you raise an eyebrow or spark interest, we do have a training next month scheduled where we'll talk about BizView a little more. Alternatively, you can reach out to Optimus. They can work with you to see if BizView is a good fit. So I want to take a step back here and piece together how these types of tools fit for a company. We really do that by figuring out what questions are you trying to ask and what do you need answered about your business. We'll start with reporting. That's best suited for what happened. It tells the story of where your business has been and why. It helps you with things like analyzing financial close and reconciliations. From there, we take it a step further and add in analytics in the form of business intelligence. Analytics is where you figure out what is currently going on, trend analysis, more complex calculations on metrics you're trying to track, as well as visualizations of the data to make it more accessible for a greater number of users. Finally, planning is geared toward how you can better predict future business. And for that, you need continuous forecasting, scenario planning, and a reliable, easy to use workflow. Again, we won't touch on this much today, but know that we do offer a very comprehensive solution to meet those needs. All right, so what we're going to do now is jump into Excel, and we'll start by looking at some pre-built reports. So this is one of our newer reports that was designed recently. I really like this one as a high-level executive type scorecard, multiple reports, lots of data points in a easily accessible way laid out inside of Excel. So I'll pause here just for a minute to take a look and scroll through this so that you can see all that's going on here. There's everything from cash flow to balance sheets, KPIs, profit and loss statement. All of this information is displayed nicely in one Excel dashboard built using Jet reports. So again, this is one of our pre-built reports. You can find the library of reports with your installation of Jet. All of them come and are updated regularly. From here, I'll move on to one of the other pre-built reports that I like to show. This is going to be a consolidated profit and loss statement broken out across sheet by company. The big takeaway, as many of you know, for Jet is that you point Jet at your data inside of your Dynamics ERP. You put in your chart of accounts, configure the fields to meet your needs and match your ERP. And then you were able to pull in that data and lay it out in Excel how you'd like. So what I'll do from here is go into Excel and I will show you Jet. This should look familiar. We'll talk about building some pre-built reports right now. So from here, we've got our design button, so you can go in as a designer and create reports. You can run reports. One thing that I like to point out that's not always at the front of users' minds, but is pretty helpful, is our run in background feature. So if you're running a report that takes a little longer, but you still need to keep working in Excel, you can go ahead and run it in the background. And then that way you can keep working on your reports while your other reports are being built out. We've got our Toolbelt of functionality here. I know some of you are GP users, some of you are Business Central users. This next example I'm going to show is going to be directly for Business Central users. So I'll go in here and I will toggle between my data sources. And then I'm going to show you the Fast Financials example. So the Fast Financials example is going to be the quickest way to get access to your financial information from Business Central. So what's loading here is a pop-up that's going to be a series of questions, a report wizard type tool, which you'll see that loads in a minute. And because I switch between data sources, it's going to take a second. So I apologize for that. But what you're going to see here when this populates is a live read-only view into the chart of accounts inside Business Central. So what we can do, we can tell it what we want to include. We can put in name, amount, budget, have it calculate variance, and then it's going to ask some formatting questions. So include column headers, and then say we want to be on our way to building a quick profit and loss statement. I'll scroll down, pick the accounts that I want here. I'll click, hit shift, scroll. I'll scroll down and grab all of them just for simplicity's sake. I'll click again. And then what you're going to see here is drag and drop report building functionality. We put in the fields that we want to pull in from the accounts that we want to target in Business Central. And what it's doing now is querying the database live and returning the data into Excel how you asked it to. So from here, we're in Excel. And so you've got access to all of the functionality that you need because we're in Excel. So you've got access to your cell referencing, your formulas, formatting, any kind of design you want to change or lay it out to. So what I'll do here is just enter a date range, and you'll see how the direct real-time connection works here in real time. So I'm going to enter in a date range. I'll just hard code in January And you'll see that it returns values here in real time. You can go ahead and copy this over, paste it, change the dates, and it's going to update. Alternatively, you could also build in a formula to grab the end of month dates and then populate the next month. But as you'll see, the fields return in real time there and update. So from here, you can go ahead and do things like get rid of grid lines, throw in a logo, anything like that. I'm sorry here. All right. So what I'll do from here is run it. And we've got our report options. You can enter in your dates, break it out across global dimensions, break it out by company. You hit run. It's going to query the database again. You won't see much of an update to the numbers here because again, when we enter in that context of the date range, it's going to pull the data in real time. So really all this did was clean up the spreadsheet a little bit. From here, what I'm going to do is go in and we'll talk about the Jet Hub. Right, so the Jet Hub is going to be your single destination for report consumption. You're going to use the same login credentials that you do for your Microsoft Dynamics ERP. We're going to honor those security credentials, making single sign-on access really easy and ensuring security. So you can go ahead and sign in. One thing to note about the Jet Hub is it does have to be hosted on-prem. And this is where designers are going to go to upload reports. So you can go in here and run a report. The report options are available. Additionally, you're going to see a lot of more information here inside the Jet Hub as well. So we're going to include things like which company, which data source, who uploaded it, when it was uploaded, when it was run, who it's shared with, the run history. We've got built-in version control. So if you're uploading multiple reports to multiple people across teams, you can make sure that people are seeing the right data that they need to see. All of the reports will be broken out here. I only have one for this example, but this is where they would live if you had multiple reports. The scheduling tool is another great function of the Jet Hub, where you can go in and automatically schedule reports to go out, and then the people will be they'll be notified by email. They can go in, log into the Jet Hub, run the report, and then either open it in Excel online or download it back to Excel. So what this looks like from here, you can go ahead and hit new task. You put in the frequency of how often you want the report run and when you want it to run. You select the reports, and then you select who you want to send it out to via email distribution. All right. So if you want to learn more about the Jet Hub or have any questions on the functionality that was shown in this portion, you can direct your questions to the team over there at Optimus. I'll also include my email at the end of the presentation, and they can get us connected or they can share the information. They're a great resource for all things Jet. So what I'm going to do now is go back into the PowerPoint here and talk a little bit about Jet Analytics. Some of you may be familiar with some of what I'm going to cover. Others, it might be new. So what is Jet Analytics? Again, it's our full business intelligence solution that comes in the form of a pre-built data warehouse and cubes. Business intelligence at its core means presenting data in a way that's actionable. With Jet Analytics, we're going to pull the data from your ERP as well as other data sources if you have them, and we're going to organize it in a way that's optimized for reporting. We'll start with your database. As we know, that's a complex web of tables and fields that have specific relationships between them. Reporting directly against the database can be complicated. You need to know what tables the data lives in within your database, and then it gets even more complicated if you need to report data from 3, 4, or more tables, tying together those tables in one report. So what we've done is we've simplified it to make it easier for the end user. We're going to pull data from the source to the data warehouse. where we organize it by subject matter and we tie the relevant data together. This makes it a lot easier for the end user to interact with the data because of the way it's now organized. Then we take the level of interactivity a step further with our pre-built cubes. Out of the box with Jet, we have cubes for things like finance, inventory, purchasing, operations, and more. With the cubes, we add dimensionality where everything is pre-calculated in every combination possible. So if you have the KPIs or important metrics that you're looking for, you're going to be able to interact with that data, twist it and turn it, slice it and dice it however you want, so that you're seeing only what's important to you. What we've done here with the data warehouse and cubes is map out about 85% of what Dynamics users typically need for reporting. So this model allows you to forego the hundreds of fields of data inside your BC instant and instead report off of measures and dimensions. So don't get these kinds of dimensions confused with your global dimensions. They're different. So inside of the cubes, we have our measures and dimensions, and all of the measures have multiple dimensions pointed at them. For example, if you're looking at a sales measure can be defined on things like price, cost, profit percent, quantity, a lot of different numbers. And these measures are nothing more than numbers. They're dollars, integers, percentages, and they're going to be raw numbers. And so what we need to do next is go ahead and add some context to those numbers. So dimensions are going to be the way you look at the data. It's going to be the way you cut it, slice it, and dice it. We have to add some context to the raw numbers. So for example, some context may consist of things like location, item, time frame, how you want to slice and dice that data. So next, I'm going to zoom out and give you a 30,000 foot view of this process of pulling the data from your ERP, organizing it and optimizing it for reporting, and then picking it up in a front-end tool. So we do that with an ETL tool called the Jet Data Manager. For those of you not familiar with the term ETL, ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. And that's this process in a nutshell. The first set of arrows is the extraction of the data. The middle section is the transformation piece, where we go from raw ERP data and organize it to become one unified data set. Then the last section is the load piece, where you pick up your front end tool, point it at the cubes, and build reports by selecting measures and dimensions from the cube you're reporting against. The real value here you'll find is that the data model that comes pre-built out of the box, optimized for reporting, is going to be really easy to implement. You're not going to need to have a resource, build something from scratch. It's ready to go out of the box. And our team can help you with an implementation of this automated data warehouse tool. All right. So that was a lot here. I want to go in and show you some of the pre-built reports that come with Jet Analytics. Just go over a couple of them, and then I'll show you an example of building a report from scratch using measuring dimensions inside of Excel. So I'll pull up an accounts receivable by currency report here. So there's an aging component to this. You can go in and look at it. You can see it's built out using pivot tables to slice and dice the data and to display it. One nice thing about all the Jet reports and Jet Analytics reports is there's going to be a section that helps you configure the report and give you information about modifying the report, which version of Jet it's compatible with, how to get help with it, if you need training, anything like that. So I'll just click through here. And then I've got another example. I've got an accounts payable that's similar. Again, using that same type of functionality. Broken out using pivot tables here. All right. So I'm going to go into Excel now, and we will pull an example up from scratch here. All right, so I'll go in here, we'll select the pivot table. And again, it's going to be a series of questions on where you want to target data, where you're looking for the data. So we'll go here and I'll just select the jet cubes. This is going to be a mixture of data sources built into the jet cubes for demo purposes. These are what the pre-built cubes look like that come out of the box, ready to go, mapped out for Dynamics users. Again, about 85% of it's going to match which typical Dynamics users need for reporting. The other 15% is going to be additional data sources to build in and any customizations you've made to your databases. So we've got things like finance, inventory, manufacturing, payables, purchase, receivables, and sales. I'll go ahead and select the sales example. So what you see on the left-hand side here is those measures and dimensions I was talking about. You're not seeing the thousands of fields and tables in your BC instance rolled up or your GP instance rolled up here into Excel. It's broken out in easy to understand, user-friendly terms. The nice thing is the end user's not going to have to understand that underlying data model to be able to build a report. It's all going to be labeled and defined here for them to select the measures and dimensions that they need so they can build the report and digest the data that's relevant to them. So I'll select sales. I'll select quantity, profit percent. And as you see, as I click these, we're getting numbers back into Excel. Again, these numbers don't have any context to them. So for this measure, that's all of the data inside of the cubes with no context. So that's what we're going to do next. Let's go ahead and add some context here. So I'll go down here and I'll select item so we know what these sales numbers are relating to. And then I'll give it a time frame and apply that here. So now we know which items these numbers apply to over what time frame. From here, we can slice and dice the data, adding some slicers. I'll add one for time. I'll add one for location. And then I'll add one for item. All right, so this is a really handy way to go in and digest the data, how you want to look at it. So you've got a couple ways you can do that here. You can go in and click the plus button and get at the data that way and find the data you're looking for, backing out of it with the plus and minus buttons. Alternatively, you can select the time frame, the location, and the specific item and digest the data that way, specifically with the slicers. Again, backing out of it with the click of the mouse. And then from here, we're inside of Excel, so we can be on our way to building a dashboard, an Excel dashboard, by adding a recommended chart. And so we've got a chart here, a graph. And what you'll notice when I was clicking through, I'll click through again now that the graph is here. There's a bit of interactive intelligence between the different components in the reports, meaning the graph's going to update as you isolate the data and pick the data that you're looking for. You also can report in Power BI the same way that we're doing, similarly to what we're doing in Excel. You can go in and point Power BI at the cubes. The nice thing about JET is that pre-built data model. So you're not going to have to devote a resource to building out the data model from scratch. It's going to come pre-built out of the box. You'll see the measures and dimensions here on the side. All you'll do is select measures and dimensions, match a graphic to it, and build out a dashboard in under 5 minutes. If you do have questions about that, you can get with the Optimist team and they can always connect you with me or show you an example of using JET Analytics with Power BI. So from here, I've got some questions. We can take some questions if anybody has them. That's about all I've got for the presentation here. One question that always comes up, if no one has any questions right now, one question that often comes up when showing this to people upgrading from Jet Reports is if they can still use their Jet Reports with Jet Analytics. That's pretty frequent question of users, and you can use your same Jet Reports with Jet Analytics. With Jet Analytics, you've got all the functionality of Jet Reports, plus that data model, plus the data warehouse and cubes. So you will still be able to use the functionality of Jet Reports and report directly against the database or report against the cubes.